Hello. I'm a grateful believer in Jesus Christ. I have overcome anger and resentment of my parents, and I'm still working on control. And my name is Linda. Hi. So I've been asked to give you all a brief word of encouragement on interpersonal communication. So, what is interpersonal communication? The definition is an exchange of information between two or more people who are in a relationship. So how do we talk to each other? How do we use our verbal and nonverbal cues to be in a relationship? So does anybody remember this? Sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me. That's a lie. That's a lie, lie, lie. This lie was actually first written in London in 1830 and published in 1844. That's a long time ago. We've been believing this lie. This children's rhyme was used as a defense against name-calling and bullying. Why? Because words do hurt. I remember when I was little and I was bullied, I used this rhyme. Sometimes I said it out loud, and sometimes I said it under my breath. But what we do know is that words can hurt us and do bring us down. As Pastor Rod asked us last week, have you brought life or brought death in your communication with others? Proverbs 18:21 tells us, death and life are in the power of the tongue, and those who love it will eat its fruit. Proverbs 16:24 says, pleasant words are a honeycomb, sweet to the soul and healing to the bones. So the way that we communicate with each other has changed tremendously over the last 15, 20 years, and even further over the last 3 years with COVID and social distancing. We used to communicate with each other face to face. We literally walked over to the neighbors to have dinner, or we called each other on the phone that was connected to the wall. The one where you couldn't multitask, you had to talk. Our physical voice was the mechanism for communication. Inflection was important, tone was important, how loud we spoke was important, and our nonverbal cues like smiling or eye rolling, eye contact, and even the position of our body told a story. We even used to send letters, handwritten letters, and notes to each other. Now, our forms of communication have changed. Texting on our cell phones and, texting on our cell phones and using emojis and images do all our talking. Do any of those look familiar? I can be upset, and I can send somebody a smiley face and a thumbs up. How you doing, Linda? Ooh, awesome. Or I can be sad and send a sad face, but that's it. There's nothing more. There's no relationship. Social media like Facebook, Instagram, and Snapchat, which a lot of you may know, I don't know that much about it, tell stories that don't even need to be real. We can paint any picture we want. That fantasy world thing where you create, or we create avatars, that's a whole fantasy life people can create. Email, online chatting. I do that all day at work. My boss might be across the hall, but I'm IMing her. And then talking on the phone when absolutely necessary, and oh my gosh, last resort, face-to-face communication. But how much relationship building and communicating are we really doing these days? So just this Sunday, my cell phone rang during service. It was my father. I didn't answer. Honestly, even if it wasn't during service, I probably wouldn't have answered. Later, after service, as I usually do, I sent him a text message. And I said, I love you, heart. Check. I talked to my dad this week. No. And actually, going through and thinking about this topic, interpersonal communication, it kind of hit me. It's like, Linda, really? You did not talk to your dad? No, I did not. On another note, a week or so ago, I received a handwritten card. And just knowing my name was on the envelope, it just made me feel good. I hadn't even read the card yet. But that personal gesture, it just meant so much to me. She could have texted me or sent me an emoji and hugs, But that wouldn't have had the same impact as this handwritten card. So I ask you all, is our society hiding behind a screen, whether a cell phone, I'm gonna watch you guys, is anybody texting? Or a computer? Are you hiding behind a screen instead of building personal relationships through intentional communication? I have been. I am sending people I love a text message and emoji and calling it good. I ask you all, let's get back to basics. Let's not hide behind the various technologies that we have. Let's talk to each other face to face. I just can't see the Sermon on the Mount having the same effect via Instagram or using emojis. Thank you for letting me share.
Mic check, one. I think you guys got me. I am a grateful believer in Jesus Christ. I have struggled with the hurt of rejection and abuse, the hang-ups of not feeling adequate, not feeling good enough, and the habit of trying to overachieve and people please. My name is Jay. Hello, hello, hello. Good evening on this fine Tuesday. I'm so glad to see you guys' face. I'm always excited when I can stand up here and see all the people that have come here tonight to get free. So with that said, I think you guys remember that a few weeks ago, Pastor Rod started a series on biblical principles of communication. Tonight, we're going to dive in and talk a little bit about leadership and interpersonal relationships, leading yourself and then leading others. And we're going to talk about what people experience on the other side of you. But I wanted to go back and talk about principle number one. Principle number one says, realize I'm not God. I admit that I am powerless to control my tendency to do the wrong thing and that my life is unmanageable. Happy are those who know they are spiritually poor, Matthew 5:3. Step one states we admitted we were powerless over our addictions and compulsive behaviors, that our lives had become unmanageable. For I know that good itself does not dwell in me, that is, in my sinful nature, for I have the desire to do what is good, but I cannot carry it out. Romans 7 and 18. So let's start out tonight. I like to walk around. The first question I have for you guys is, if I were to ask you a question, what is leadership? What is a leader? I have a feeling that you would probably respond, different responses probably. I would probably get, a leader and leadership, that's all about influence, because that's what that guy John Maxwell said, leadership and influence. Somebody else might say, well, leadership, isn't that just the boss man or the boss woman, person who's in charge? Somebody else might say, oh, that's my wife. That's who that is. She's the leader. All these different answers, and the truth of the matter is, it's probably an amalgam of all of those different things, but we're going to talk through it and what it actually looks like. We're going to look a little bit at this mountain that has taken me back. If you don't recognize this picture, this is Mount Everest. Mount Everest is the highest mountain above sea level that there is. And I believe it is 29,029 feet above sea level. So it's pretty monstrous, right? Pretty high. By the way, has anybody ever climbed Mount Everest in here? Okay, all right. The reason I asked that, by show of hands, I wanted to know the experience, because what I've been told is you can't get there alone. You actually need somebody with you to get to the top of Mount Everest. And speaking about that somebody with you, that somebody's called a Sherpa. And as you can see, I've so politely pointed out who the Sherpa is here, that nice little arrow. He's a guy with the arrow saying Sherpa, and he's along with those other people who are mountain climbers. The Sherpa himself, the Sherpa is a member of the Himalayan people that live on the borders of Nepal and Tibet. They are renowned for their skill in climbing. Sherpas are actually born in high altitudes. So their body is already adjusted to all of this stuff, which is why they're able to do these feats, and they're renowned for climbing mountains. So with that in mind, notice the people around them. Those are the people who are asking the Sherpa for help. I need your help to get to the top of Mount Everest. I can't make it up there without you. So Sherpas are the guys that take these people on this treacherous trip to get to the top of Mount Everest. And we often forget, you still got to come back down. Believe it or not, the most dangerous part about climbing is the way down, not the way up. If I were to ask a Sherpa, how many times have you climbed Mount Everest, he would probably give me a crazy look. Like, what are you talking about? The reason the Sherpa would give me a crazy look is because he doesn't gauge his success on how many times he's been to the mountain. He will tell you how many times he's led people, guided people up the top of Mount Everest. So it was never about him going to the top of Mount Everest. It was actually how many people he's helped to get to the top of Mount Everest. That's what the Sherpa's purpose is. And that, my friends, is a great definition of leadership. It's not how far you go. It really is how many people you take with you on the journey. It's how many people you brought along with you, who you helped along the way. So putting all that in perspective, as we're all in this CR family, and we're all on our own journey to liberation, and we're climbing to that Mount Liberation, if you will, and it's going to be, how many people are we taking along with us on this journey of freedom, on this journey of liberty? That's what leadership is about. So if you're here and you're just trying to get free yourself, it doesn't work like that. It works when you take somebody with you. So I want to make sure that everybody understood that definition of leadership. Lamentations 3:40 states, "Let us test and examine our ways and return to the Lord." Romans 12:3, "For by the grace given to me, I say to everyone among you, not to think of himself more highly than he ought to think, but to think with sober judgment, each according to the measure of faith that God has assigned." So I'm a firm believer that before anyone can lead others, you must first learn how to lead yourself. And before you can lead yourself, you must first know yourself. It's going to be critical. Some people might call that self-awareness. Self-awareness is critically important thing to know in life. But I'll be honest with you, it's not enough just to be self-aware of who you are, what your tendencies are, and all of that. One of the things that I want us to dig into tonight is if you want to change the experience that people are having on the other side of you, first, you must care. Those changes that you need to make it can be incredibly difficult. They will require you to be willing to do this. You have to be courageous to make those changes. And you also have to be humble. So think about that. We talked about self-awareness, who we are, but now I'm looking at what's the experience that people are having on the other side of our conversation when we're talking to them. What is the experience that people are having when we're communicating, when I'm working with them, whenever we are talking and doing life together? What are they seeing, hearing, feeling, learning, maybe even disgusted by me? What is that experience that they're having? That's what I want us to think about. So we're going to bring up what I call the infinity slide here. On this particular infinity slide, the thing that makes this slide great is that it helps us, it's a tool that I use in order to help me look at my tendencies. Here, if you see, we start at the bottom where you see tendencies there. And these tendencies are hardwired in us. These are the things that we do. These are the things that almost feel like they're part of our core. Keep that in mind, hardwired. I challenge everyone, though, not to just look at, well, is Jay just asking me to change my tendencies? I just need to work on stuff. My challenge for you is not to work on and spend time and energy on trying to change your tendencies. My challenge for you is to spend some time and energy on trying to understand your tendencies, to try to get a deeper understanding of why you do what you do, and not just try to stop what you do. So over time, our tendencies have created patterns. So as I'm going up to the right here, our tendencies have created patterns. And these patterns are patterns of behavior. And these behaviors, where we take actions. And these actions become almost automatic. So our tendency creates patterns, and with those patterns, almost automatically, we have an action that happens. And as we continue to roll around this infinity circle, you'll see a few things to help us understand this. Those actions have consequences, and you see that at the very top. Those consequences shape our reality, and you see that to the left, the infinity circle. If there's something good about your reality, your tendencies are contributing in some way. If there is something difficult, unhealthy, or hard about your reality, you may not be the sole cause of this hard, unhealthy thing, but you are contributing to it. So keep that in mind. So that's why it's important to know yourself, to understand these tendencies. Now I have a special treat for you tonight. I have a special guest who's going to come up and join me. She is the amazing one. She is the mother of my kids. She's my wife of 24 years. LaTanya Graves. LaTanya, can you please come up? And I believe Tanya's mic is on.
All right, my mic is on.
So the reason I wanted to share this moment with my lovely wife is I wanted to do a role play. I wanted to demonstrate what it looks like to be on the other side of somebody, what it sounds like, what you experience. So I brought my lovely wife here, and I will tell you right off the bat, just some background. My wife, what I know about her, she is very detailed. She is very, information is her thing. She's very timely. She's very planful. She's all about the numbers. She can almost turn water into wine, not quite. She will make $5 out of $1. You know, she does a whole lot. She's an amazing person. She's all in and always on 10, always thinking, very linear in her thought. She's an engineer by trade, but all of that comes together. Those are some of the things about you. What are some of the things that you can tell the people about me?
Okay, first of all, my name is Tanya. I'm a grateful believer in Jesus Christ.
Thank you.
And so a couple of things about my husband from the very beginning. My husband is very creative. He's very passionate about people. There have been times we'll be in a restaurant and I'm thinking, can we just order? I know what I want. He's like, hey, let's talk to them about it. I'm like, no, I don't want to talk to anybody. So my husband's very, I say emotional, but emotional in that he's going to think of the other person. He's going to put himself in their shoes. He's also going to be what I would call touchy-feely, meaning that he can relate to people first. He can put himself in their shoes and understand exactly how they're feeling by the words they use, by the looks they give. He'll immediately relate to people, sometimes even things that I'm not even aware of.
Thank you, sweetie.
Okay. I love him too, y'all. You know that, right?
Appreciate that. So let me set this up for you.
Okay.
Here's the background for what we get ready to do. You've got a clear picture about who we are, some of our characteristics and all of that. We get ready to have a discussion, and this is a real thing here, over our budget and buying a new car. Anybody that knows me, especially the guys in the step study and some of the other people know that I've had to buy several cars for these kids and all this stuff, and cars just keep breaking down. I want you to hear our discussion on this, and then we'll talk through it because I want you to see some things that you might not have thought about before. So, action. Babe, I just saw this car. The car is a 2018 model of the car we have now. It has two-tone seats. It only has 76,000 miles on it. We have enough money to get this car in cash if we need to. We need to get this car because it's going to go quickly. And I don't want to risk us not having a vehicle to get back and forth to work. And our current car is so unreliable. And I just had to get these boys a car. Now I had to get Naya this car. And now I'm driving a car that won't even crank. And I'm spending so much money on it every month, it seems like, to fix it. We need to get this car now. Are we on the same page?
Well, can I ask a couple questions?
Sure, of course.
Well, how much is the car?
18,000.
Okay, 18,000. Have you done the research on the car? Is this something we need right now? I mean, you do know we just balanced the checkbook. We already agreed on a plan of where that extra money is going to come from.
Yeah, the research. It's a great car. It's a good car. It's similar to the car I have now. It works. I'm telling you, it works.
Okay, it works. And this is on the basis of whose research?
I Googled it, and once I Googled it, Google doesn't lie, it told me everything I needed to know.
Okay, you Googled it, okay. So your thought process that we're gonna just go in and exhaust our savings? What?
Why has it always got to be about the savings? We have the money. Why can't we just get the car? Why is it that you're being so difficult?
Okay, I understand that, but you do know we got tuition coming up. That's next week. Not only do we have college tuition coming up, we also have high school tuition. We got a rising senior. We also just balanced the checkbook again. I'm gonna just make that statement one more time to the penny. So do you still think that's a good decision based upon what we just talked about? I mean, can we wait until next year when we said we were going to save X amount of dollars every month if we stick to this plan?
Thank you. So, cut. So now let's talk about what you just saw. Let's talk about what you just saw. I gave her a plea for us getting this new vehicle that we need because we are currently spending a lot of money fixing the current vehicle we have. And it just costs a lot every month or every 3 months. I'll be honest, my experience on the other side of her communication to me, I felt that she shot me down. I felt that she didn't listen to me. She started getting on my nerves because she kept trying to challenge me with stuff. She acted like I was stupid. Who researched this? Did you research it? So all of this stuff, this is my experience on the other side of her. What was your experience?
Well, the first thing I thought, we just balanced the checkbook. What about all that effort I had done? And what it makes me feel is unappreciated. It makes me feel like you're being irresponsible. It makes me feel like you haven't really thought through just about what you want and not about the whole plan that we had discussed. Makes me feel like you're not listening to all this work that I've done to help us get to this place. The other thing I feel a lot of times that we're making a rash decision and I'm not able to see the big picture in terms of the urgency to do it, and why not us plan it out together so it can be worth the investment and also the delay, gratification.
So what I wanted everybody to see is that what I thought I was communicating is not what she was experiencing, and what she thought she was communicating was not what I was experiencing. So in turn, we have to figure out, yeah, if I know that I'm like this and I'm a people person and I like to go get stuff and I'm a big idea person and I understand that this person isn't, it's not so much about me changing myself, it's about me acknowledging who I am and where I am and then changing the experience for her. The more I actually go in to change or attempt to change my approach with this, then what happens is she then sees that I'm taking her into consideration. And believe it or not, that's a part of leadership too. Because if people see that you're able to change, they will follow you because they realize that I can trust you. It's not just about you, it's about the whole team, it's about the whole family. So in turn, my approach to her then now becomes, you know what, you are right, we have this much in the bank, we should probably wait until August, and I have another check coming in by the time the end of the month. Let's utilize that check and come back to this discussion. I would like to plan to see if we can get this car or a new car by the time September hits. I've now changed this thing to a point where I still want my car. I don't have to have it now, but I want to acknowledge the fact that she's budgeted, she's planned, I have another check coming in. What can I do to ensure her that I've heard her and understood her? When I say this to her, all of a sudden she changes. She could probably do the same thing for me, really understand. I know Jay's frustrated because it's his car that's breaking down. He's the one that don't have a ride anywhere. So she has to be acknowledged that as well. All of these different things are tendencies that we have. And remember I said, though, what is the experience of the person who's on the other side of you? We often keep forgetting that. You can't forget that. Thank you, babe. You're the worst. So I am so grateful for my wife and the other people in my life who have challenged me to create a different pattern of behavior. It's not easy. It can be very hard at times to make changes. But if you're willing to make the experience that people are having on the other side of you a positive one, that's always a great place to start. So it's not anything that gets perfected over time, but it's often something that you're going to have to keep working at. And thus the journey here in CR. It's not anything that we can just do right off. The journey we're here and communicating with each other in CR, leading with each other in CR, and understanding where each other is, we got to do that. It comes over time. I do have some good news. The good news is we don't have to be defined by our tendencies. That's just the way I am, or, you know, I'm a jerk. You know, it is. She knows I'm a jerk. I am. It is what it is. She knows I love her, so it shouldn't matter. You know, or whatever that case might be. I don't have to be defined by that. And I would probably say for myself, she knows I'm sarcastic. I shouldn't have to change that. I'm sarcastic. Sarcasm is my language. But I don't have to do that. I don't have to define myself with that. Ask yourself the question, what am I willing to do to change my reality? Remember that infinity circle there. You had the tendencies that went to the patterns of behavior that you had automatic actions to. Then it came with the consequences. Then you had your reality. So the thing for us is, what do I need to do to change my reality? How to change the experience that people are having on the other side of me. This is where the journey from good to great happens. Make no mistake, the work is hard. This will require you to be all in. I promise you that the people on the other side of you will appreciate any effort you make, any leader, person, spouse, the friend, if you are only self-aware. Knowing yourself is extremely important, but leading yourself, creating different patterns of behavior, if necessary, is where the change is going to happen. So let's reflect and think about where our tendencies are. Where are they bringing you? Are they bringing you to a positive, healthy reality? Where do you need to make some changes? So now is where I want you guys to do me a favor. Let's pretend this is church. Turn to your neighbor, and I want you to say, seriously, I want you to take 2 minutes, and someone at your table, pick whomever, I would love for you to share, here's a tendency that I've recognized, and here's why this is my tendency. This is an exercise in self-awareness. I wouldn't share that you have done some illegal crime. I would share a tendency that you have, and you know it's something you need to work on. And I'll give you a couple of minutes to do it. So have at it. Take a couple of minutes. You've done an illegal crime. Okay. Thank you, guys. I can hear the conversations going on. I hear some tendencies being shared. I'm hearing some great communication happening. Let me share one more thing before I come off the stage. For you guys, the important thing I want you to take away from tonight is knowing who you are. Self-awareness is going to be key, and you must know yourself to lead yourself. So it's going to be impossible for you just to go blindly and just continue to be unaware of all these tendencies that you have or make excuses for them. You got to know yourself to lead yourself, and you can't lead others until you lead yourself. Keep that in mind. Those are the biggest takeaways for the night, and then the fact that what is the person experiencing on the other side of you? We all have to become more cognizant of that. I often acquiesce to not caring at times when it comes to that, but thankful for my lovely wife. She has taught me better, and now I care more about what is the experience other people are having. Thank you.
Okay. Wasn't that great, guys? Yeah. We're getting a great start to this new series. I'm a grateful believer in Jesus Christ, and I've struggled with anxiety and depression. I'm living in freedom from those things, and I am grateful for that. My name is Rod. And I say living in freedom is that anxiety doesn't bother me near as much. It's there, but it doesn't bother me, you know? I know how to cast it away now. But there's one, as Jay was speaking, know yourself to lead yourself. I agree. And I've learned, though, in order for me to lead myself, I have to be led by the Holy Spirit. And so, therefore, I want to just add a tag to that and say we must learn how to walk with the Spirit of God as well. That is the ultimate way that we may be able to lead ourselves. In doing so, then it means that we have to find a space in our heart to actually practically apply what the Scripture does say. 1 Peter chapter 5, verse 6 through 8. The guys, and I didn't have you guys to put it up on the screen, but I'm going to recite it back to you. So humble yourself before the mighty power of God. And at the right time, he will lift you up in honor. And then give all your worries to him because he cares for you. And here's the latter part. Verse 8 says, stay alert. And I've said this a couple times. Stay alert and watch out because the great enemy, the devil, he prowls around like a roaring lion looking for someone to devour. In doing that, verse 8, in living that part out, sometimes we have to recognize that roaring lion might be coming from within yourself. And so you need to be self-aware and watch yourself before you start dwelling in stinking thinking. And that becomes the roaring lion in your life. And so with that in mind, and now that you've had some opportunity to really self-reflect a little bit more and understand how your speech, how your communications actually affects others that are around you and close to you, I want to bring up my wife. No, I'm just joking, honey. However, this is an opportunity now that we might bring this to the Lord, okay? Honestly, let's sit back for a second and think about what we've learned tonight and how can we bring this to the Lord. As the music begins to play,